When billionaire Arthur Harrison's son began to fade and every expert failed, a maid's 12-year-old daughter saw what no doctor could and changed everything. In a house built on wealth and silence, a boy was dying, and no one could explain why. 6 months. For doctors, countless tests, all pointing to nothing. His father demanded answers. The experts offered theories, but the truth was sitting quietly in the corner. A maid's daughter, 12 years old, watching what no one else could see. Because sometimes, the smallest eyes notice what the smartest minds overlook. And what she saw would expose pride, save a life, and change everything they believed about medicine and about themselves. This isn't just a story about sickness and science. It's the story of how one child's quiet observation shattered an empire of certainty. And before I forget, where are you watching from today? Leave a comment below. Enjoy the story. A child's eyes saw the truth hidden in a room full of experts. 12-year-old Lily traced the outline of a water ring on a glass coffee table. Her mother had missed it, which almost never happened. This giant house, all glass and cold white stone, was her mother's biggest job, and her mother, Sarah, never missed a spot. Lily wasn't supposed to be here. Not in the main atrium, anyway. She was supposed to be in the staff kitchen, finishing her homework. But her mother was working late again. The owner of the house, the billionaire Mr. Harrison, had doctors visiting. Again. Lily, away from the glass, Sarah whispered. Her voice was sharp, tired. Do not touch anything. Do not make a sound. I'm not. Lily whispered back, pulling her hand away. She tucked her blonde hair behind her ears. She knew the rule. Be invisible. A maid's daughter was even less than a maid. She was a ghost. She was just furniture that breathed. From their corner by the service hallway, Lily could see into the massive living area. It looked like a hospital ward. For doctors in dark suits stood around a long, white sofa. They spoke in low, serious voices. Arthur Harrison stood with them. He was a tall man who always looked like he was about to break something. His face was gray with worry. He wasn't looking at the doctors. He was staring at his son. Daniel Harrison, 10 years old, lay on the sofa. He was buried in soft blankets. And Forstan stood beside him, its thin tube taped to his pale, thin arm. A private nurse, a stern-looking woman named Nurse Miller, watched a blinking monitor. Daniel was always sick. For 6 months, Lily had come here with her mother after school. She had watched the sickness steal the boy. First, he was in a wheelchair. Then, he stayed on the sofa. Now, he barely opened his eyes. The test results are inconclusive, Arthur, said the lead doctor, a man with silver hair named Dr. Evans. The MRIs are clean. The blood work shows inflammation, but we cannot pinpoint the source. We've tested for every autoimmune disorder, every neurological condition. Inconclusive. Mr. Harrison's voice was a low rumble. He's fading. I pay you men a fortune. Find an answer. We are suggesting a new round of experimental treatments, Dr. Evans said smoothly. A clinic in Switzerland. Lily tuned them out. She wasn't listening to their words. She was watching Daniel. She watched the way his fingers rested on the blanket. She watched the blue veins under his paper-thin skin. Her mother said she stared too much. It's rude, Lily. People don't like to be watched. But Lily couldn't help it. She was a noticer. In her backpack, she carried her most prized possession. It was a small, leather-bound book. It was her great-grandmother's journal. Great-grandma Rose wasn't just a war veteran. She had been a battlefield nurse in World War II. She had served in field hospitals where there were no machines, no tests. All she had were her eyes. Lily had read the journal so many times, she knew parts by heart. The doctors see the fever. They see the wound. Rose had written in faded blue ink. They do not see the way the man's eyes flicker to the left. They do not notice the faint smell of almonds on his breath. They miss the small things. The war is loud, but the truth is almost always quiet. Lily lived by that. She watched for the quiet things. And she had noticed something about Daniel. She had seen it 3 times before. It was a symptom, but none of the doctors ever saw it. They were always too busy looking at their charts. It started now. It was silent. So silent, only a watcher would see it. First, Daniel's left hand, which had been relaxed, slowly curled. The pointer finger began to tap. A steady, rhythmic tap against his thumb. 1, 2, 3. Pause. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Lily's breath caught. He just seems so weak, Mr. Harrison was saying, his back to his son. He has no energy, no? His vitals are stable. Nurse Miller interrupted, her eyes on the monitor. Blood pressure is steady. Look at him. Lily wanted to scream. Stop looking at the machine. Now the second thing happened. Daniel's head, resting on the pillow, gave a tiny, almost invisible jerk to the right. It was not a seizure. It was not a tremor. It was a single, sharp tick. The tapping in his hand got faster. We believe a change of environment is crucial, Dr. Evans said, holding a tablet. The air quality in the Alps. He's doing it again, Lily whispered. Her mother grabbed her arm. Hush, Lily. What did I tell you? He's doing the thing with his hand, Lily insisted, her voice a little too loud. The room went silent. All four doctors, the nurse, and Arthur Harrison turned. They all looked at the small, blonde girl in the hallway. Lily felt her face burn red. Her mother's fingers dug into her arm like claws. Sarah, what is the meaning of this? Mr. Harrison snapped. His grief made him mean. Get your daughter out of here. I apologize, sir. Right away. Lily, let's go. Now. Sarah's voice was trembling. She was going to be fired. Lily knew it. But he's doing it, Lily said, pulling free of her mother's grip. She stepped out of the shadows and into the giant, sun-filled room. She felt as small as a bug under a magnifying glass. Dr. Evans looked insulted. Young lady, this is a private medical consultation. His hand, Lily said, pointing. She was terrified, but the words tumbled out. Look at his hand. The left one. Everyone looked at Daniel. The boy's hand was perfectly still. The tapping had stopped. The head jerk was gone. Lily's heart sank. It was gone. There is nothing wrong with his hand, Dr. Evans said, his voice dripping with annoyance. It was tapping, Lily stammered. His pointer finger. 3 times. And then his head jerked. He does it every time before he gets one of his bad spells. Nurse Miller scoffed. A bad spell. We are monitoring for seizure activity. There is none. It's not a seizure, Lily said. It's different. It's smaller. And it happens right before he gets the bad headaches and the fever. I've seen it. You just missed it. Lily, Sarah gasped, rushing forward to grab her. Mr. Harrison, I am so sorry. She reads too many strange books. She has an imagination. An imagination? Dr. Evans said. She is interrupting our work. She is upsetting the patient. Mr. Harrison looked at Lily. His eyes were cold. Get her out. And Sarah, your services are no longer required. Tears sprang to Lily's eyes. Her mother's face went white. She had done it. She had gotten her mother fired. All because she couldn't keep quiet. No, wait, Lily said desperately. She ran toward the sofa. Get back, Nurse Miller commanded, putting a hand out. It's not just the tapping. Lily shouted. It's the smell? Can't you smell it? That stopped them. Mr. Harrison frowned. Smell what? Dr. Evans looked confused. There is no odor here. There is, Lily insisted. She leaned closer to Daniel. The nurse tried to pull her back, but Mr. Harrison held up a hand. Let her. Lily put her face near Daniel's head, near his hair. It was faint. So faint. But she knew it. It smelled like her father's workshop. It smells like burnt sugar, Lily said, looking up at the doctors. Or like burnt almonds. Sweet. And sad. Dr. Evans rolled his eyes. Mr. Harrison, this is absurd. This child is. Wait, Mr. Harrison said. He knelt by the sofa. He leaned close to his son. He inhaled deeply. His head snapped up. He looked at Dr. Evans. His face was pale. She's right. He whispered, a new, terrible fear in his eyes. There is a smell. It's sweet. Dr. Evans suddenly looked less confident. He leaned in. The other doctors leaned in. They were all sniffing the boy's hair and skin. I don't smell anything, Dr. Evans said, but he looked worried. You're not trying, Lily said. It's right there. Arthur, this is stress, Dr. Evans tried to reassure him. You're overtired. It was the tapping, then the head jerk, then the smell, Lily said, her voice steady now. Her great-grandmother's courage was flowing into her. That's the order. I've seen it 3 times. And about an hour later, he gets very, very sick. Mr. Harrison stood up. He looked at the team of expensive doctors. Then he looked at the 12-year-old maid's daughter. You've seen this pattern 3 times? He asked Lily. Lily nodded. The last time was last Tuesday. He did the tapping. You were on a phone call. The nurse was changing his forebag. He did the head jerk. Then he said his head hurt. 2 hours later, he had a fever of 103. A heavy silence filled the room. The doctors looked at each other. Nurse Miller opened her mouth, then closed it. "And you," Mr. Harrison said to Dr. Evans. "You, with all your machines and your tests. You never saw this." It's anecdotal," Dr. Evans stammered. "A child's observation. It's a pattern," Mr. Harrison said. "And it's the only pattern we've had in 6 months." He turned to Sarah, Lily's mother, who was still standing frozen by the door, ready to be thrown out. "Sarah," Mr. Harrison said. "Yes, sir," she whispered, her hands shaking. "Your daughter," he said, his voice flat. "She will stay here. With Daniel. Sir, she will sit in this room. And she will watch him. If he taps, if he jerks, if she smells anything, she will tell us." Immediately, Dr. Evans stepped forward. "Mr. Harrison, this is highly irregular. We cannot base a diagnosis on burnt sugar." Mr. Harrison turned to the doctor. His eyes were like ice. "You have failed me for 6 months. You've brought specialists from all over the world. They have all failed. This girl, this child, has seen something you all missed." He pointed a finger at Dr. Evans. "So from now on, you work for her." Lily's mother, Sarah, stood frozen by the door. Her hands were pressed to her mouth. She was not fired. That was the first thought. The second, more terrifying thought was, what happened now? Dr. Evans adjusted his expensive tie. His face was a mask of professional calm, but his eyes were furious. He had been humiliated by a child. "Mr. Harrison," Dr. Evans said, his voice tight, "I must advise you. This is unorthodox. We are medical professionals. She is a girl. You are placing your son's health in the hands of an anecdote." "An anecdote you missed," Harrison replied, his voice dangerously quiet. "You've had 6 months to find something. You found nothing. She found a pattern in one afternoon of watching." He turned to the stern nurse. "Nurse Miller." "Yes, sir," she said, her back rigid. "Get a chair. Place it 6 feet from my son's sofa." "Sir." "Get her a chair," he commanded. "She will not leave this room. Not until I say so." "Sarah," he said, looking at Lily's mother. "Yes, Mr. Harrison," Sarah whispered. "You will report to the head housekeeper, Mrs. Davies. Tell her you and your daughter will be staying. You are on call. Mrs. Davies will arrange a guest suite for you." A guest suite, not a staff room. The line, already blurry, had just been erased. Nurse Miller returned with a heavy upholstered chair. She placed it on the white marble floor with a soft thud. It felt final. Lily looked at her mother. Sarah's eyes were wide with fear. She gave Lily a short, sharp nod, as if to say, "Be brave. Don't speak. Just do as he says." Then, Sarah backed out of the room, disappearing into the service corridor. Lily was alone. She was alone with the billionaire, the angry doctors, the resentful nurse, and the sick boy. "Sit," Mr. Harrison said to Lily. Lily walked over to the chair. It was soft, much nicer than any chair in her own home. She sat on the very edge of it. Her backpack, with her great-grandmother's journal, was still on her back. She didn't dare take it off. "Now," Mr. Harrison said, turning back to the medical team. "You will wait. You will all wait." "Arthur, this is preposterous," Dr. Evans protested. "We have appointments. We have other patients." "Cancel them," Harrison said. "Or send me your bills for the day. I don't care. You are not leaving until you see what she saw." The 3 other doctors looked at each other. They were trapped. They were being paid fortunes to be held hostage by the observation of a 12-year-old. The room fell into a deep, awful silence. The only sounds were the quiet beeps of the medical monitor, the hum of the air conditioning, and the rustle of Dr. Evans's suit as he paced angrily by the floor-to-ceiling windows. Lily did not move. She did not look at the doctors. She looked at Daniel. She watched his face. It was so pale, his eyelashes looked like dark smudges on his skin. She watched his chest. The blanket rose and fell, shallowly, but steadily. She watched his hands. They were still. The war is loud, but the truth is almost always quiet. Great-Grandma Rose's words echoed in her head. Lily tried to pretend she was in that field hospital. She wasn't a maid's daughter. She was a nurse. She was a watcher. She had a job. An hour passed. The sun shifted, and the light in the atrium turned from white to a warmer gold. Nurse Miller checked Daniel's for drip. She took his blood pressure with an automatic cuff. "Vitals remain unchanged, Mr. Harrison," she announced. She glanced at Lily. "No tapping. No smells. He is perfectly stable." Her voice was cold. She was trying to prove Lily was a liar. He's not stable, Lily said. Her voice was small, but clear in the quiet room. He's just waiting. Waiting for what? Dr. Evans scoffed. His next imaginary symptom? It's not imaginary, Lily said, her hands balling into fists in her lap. Lily. Mr. Harrison's voice was sharp. She looked at him. Do not speak unless you see something. Just watch. That is your only job. Yes, sir, she whispered. She understood. She was not a doctor. She was not a person, really. She was a tool. A piece of equipment. She was the Lily monitor. Another 30 minutes crept by. The tension was painful. One of the younger doctors cleared his throat. Dr. Evans, perhaps we should review the latest. Quiet, Mr. Harrison commanded. And then, Lily saw it. She leaned forward. Her heart started to pound. What is it? Harrison demanded, seeing her move. His hand, Lily breathed. His left hand. Look, everyone stared at Daniel's hand. It was happening. The pointer finger. It slowly, deliberately, began to tap against the thumb. 1, 2, 3. Pause. 1, 2, 3. Pause. It was exactly as she had described. It was not a tremor. It was rhythmic. It was specific. My God, Mr. Harrison whispered. He moved closer to the sofa. Dr. Evans stared, his mouth slightly open. He had never seen this. He had only ever seen the reports. The numbers. The charts. It's a focal-aware seizure, Dr. Evans said quickly, recovering himself. A simple partial seizure. It's localized. It's not. Wait, Lily said. The next part. As they all watched, Daniel's head gave that tiny, sharp jerk to the right. A single, muscular tick. That, Lily said. He always does that second. It's part of the same seizure cluster, obviously, Dr. Evans said, but he was watching Daniel with a new, intense focus. Now, Lily said, her voice dropping. The smell. She stood up from her chair and walked the few steps to the sofa. She leaned over the boy. Nurse Miller started to object, but Mr. Harrison waved her to silence. Lily inhaled near Daniel's hair. It was there. Faint, but stronger than before. The smell of burning sugar. A sweet, metallic, sick smell. It's here, she said, looking at Mr. Harrison. Harrison knelt beside her. He sniffed. His face went gray. Yes, it's stronger. He looked at Dr. Evans. You smell this. It was not a request. Dr. Evans, the top neurologist in the state, looked deeply uncomfortable. But he bent down and put his nose near the 10-year-old's head. He was silent for a long moment. He inhaled again. It's faint, he said. He sounded shaken. Acetone. No. It's fruity. Or, yes, like burnt sugar. He straightened up. The look of arrogance was gone. He looked confused. He looked, for the first time, afraid. What is it? Mr. Harrison demanded. What does that mean? Tapping, a head jerk, and a sweet smell. Dr. Evans looked at his colleagues. They looked just as baffled. I don't know, Dr. Evans admitted. A sweet smell can indicate diabetic ketoacidosis, but his blood sugar is normal. It can be a sign of certain metabolic disorders. But we've tested for those. We've tested for everything. Test again, Harrison ordered. But we don't know what to test for. Dr. Evans said, his frustration rising. This combination of symptoms, it's not in the literature. A focal seizure followed by this specific olfactory, it's not a known syndrome. Then find it, Harrison said. It could be nothing, Nurse Miller said, her voice sharp. It could be the soap. It could be the laundry detergent. It's not, Lily said. It's him. It's coming from him. And how would you know? The nurse snapped. Because, Lily said, it only happens when the tapping starts. The rest of the day, he just smells like a boy. But when he does the tapping, he smells like this. It's like the sickness is coming out. Daniel's eyes flickered open. He moaned. My head, he whispered. His voice was a dry rasp. Nurse, my head hurts. Lily looked at the clock on the wall. It's starting, she said to Mr. Harrison. Just like last Tuesday. First the tapping. Then the smell. Now the headache. The fever comes next. Mr. Harrison looked at Nurse Miller. His medication. Now. Yes, sir. The nurse hurried to prepare a syringe. Dr. Evans was watching Lily. He was no longer looking at her as a child. He was looking at her as a variable he could not explain. How long have you suspected this? He asked her. Lily shrank back a little. I don't suspect, sir. I just watch. She has a book, Sarah said. Everyone turned. Lily's mother was standing in the doorway. She held a glass of water for Lily, but she was too scared to enter the room. "Mr. Harrison, sir," Sarah said, her voice shaking. Her great-grandmother. She was a nurse. In the war. She wrote a journal. Lily, she reads it all the time. It taught her to notice things. Mr. Harrison looked at Lily, at the backpack she still wore. "The journal," he said. "Show it to me." Lily's hands went to her backpack straps. She felt like she was being asked to hand over a piece of her own body. That journal was private. It was Rose's. But the most powerful man she had ever met was looking at her. Slowly, she slipped the backpack off her shoulders. She unzipped the main pocket. She pulled out her schoolbooks, her pencil case. And at the bottom, wrapped in a thin piece of cloth, was the small, worn leather book. She walked forward and handed it to Arthur Harrison. He took it. He unwrapped the cloth. He opened the fragile, yellowed pages. The room was silent as he read the elegant, faded script from 1944. He read for a full minute. Then he looked up, not at Lily, but at Dr. Evans. "She writes here," Mr. Harrison said, his voice holding a strange new respect. "The machines can tell you if a heart is beating, but they cannot tell you why it is beating. They cannot see the spirit. They cannot see the small changes that warn of the coming storm. The truth is in the details the doctors are too proud to see." He closed the book gently. He handed it back to Lily. "You will stay, Lily," he said. "You will not just watch. You will tell Dr. Evans what you see. You will tell him what you think." "Sir, I must object," Dr. Evans said. This is the new plan, Dr. Harrison said, his voice like iron. "You and your team will work from this room. You will not leave. You will have your computers, your phones. You will research burnt sugar and focal seizures. You will test for every metabolic disorder you missed. And your primary source, your consultant, is this 12-year-old girl. Now get to work." The vast living room, once a showpiece of cold, modern wealth, had become a prison. Dr. Evans and his 3 colleagues claimed the giant marble dining table. They opened laptops. They plugged in portable hard drives. They spoke in low, fast voices. Run a full metabolic panel. Again, Dr. Evans ordered one of his team. But this time, flag for all branch-chain amino acids. The smell, that burnt sugar, it's characteristic of one thing. "You're thinking MSUD?" the younger doctor asked. "Of course I'm thinking MSUD," Dr. Evans snapped. "Maple syrup urine disease. It's rare, but the olfactory signal is unmistakable." "But doctor," the third doctor, a woman, interjected, "MSUD is congenital. It presents at birth. The boy is 10. He was healthy until 6 months ago. It doesn't fit the timeline. It's an intermittent variant, perhaps," Dr. Evans argued, "triggered by a virus or stress. It's the only lead we have. Get the lab on the phone. I want a stat sample drawn." Lily sat in her chair. She was 6 feet from Daniel, who had drifted back into a restless, medicated sleep. Mr. Harrison stood by the window, his back to the room. He was a statue made of anger and fear. He listened to the doctors argue. Lily felt a familiar knot in her stomach. Hunger. Fear. It was the feeling she got when she knew her mother was worried about rent. It was the feeling of being small in a world of big, loud, certain people. The doctors were loud. They used words like congenital and amino acids. They sounded smart. They sounded like they knew. Lily looked down at her backpack. She pulled out her great-grandmother's journal. She opened it to a random page. Her finger traced the old, elegant handwriting. The men with the most books are often the last to see the answer. They look for the disease they have read about. They do not look at the patient in the bed. They are hunting for a name, not a cause. Lily looked up. The doctors were hunting for a name. MSUD. Nurse Miller approached the sofa to check Daniel's vitals again. She saw Lily reading the journal. "That's a nice storybook, dear," the nurse said, her voice full of false sweetness. "But you should let the grown-ups handle this. We don't need fairy tales. We need medicine." Lily's face flushed. She closed the journal. "It's not a storybook," she said quietly. "Oh." Nurse Miller smiled, a cold, thin smile. "What is it, then?" "A book of magic spells." "It's my great-grandmother's," Lily said, her voice shaking slightly. She was a nurse. In the war. She saved a lot of people. "The war," Nurse Miller scoffed. "My goodness. They didn't have antibiotics, did they? They didn't have MRIs. They were basically using leeches and prayers. This is the modern world, child. We have science." She pointed to Dr. Evans. They are ordering a test. For a real disease. With a real name. Something your little book couldn't possibly know. Lily shrank back. Maybe the nurse was right. Maybe she was just a stupid girl with a stupid book. Maybe the burnt sugar smell was this MSUD thing. But a small, stubborn voice inside her, a voice that sounded a lot like Rose, whispered, "It doesn't fit." Why was Daniel healthy for 10 years? Why did the sickness start 6 months ago? She looked at Daniel. She thought back. She tried to remember every time she had seen him. He was in the wheelchair, after he tried to play soccer with his cousins. He was on the sofa, after he had a physical therapy session. He got the headache last Tuesday, after he spent an hour trying to build a complex Lego tower. A new pattern began to form in her mind. It was not just the tapping, the jerk, and the smell. There was something before the tapping. There was a trigger. While Nurse Miller was drawing a new vial of blood from Daniel's arm, Lily's mother appeared in the doorway. She was carrying a small tray with a sandwich and a glass of milk. She walked timidly into the room. The doctors ignored her. Mr. Harrison glanced at her, then looked away. "Lily, honey," Sarah whispered, holding out the tray. "You have to eat something. It's almost evening." Lily wasn't hungry, but she took the sandwich. "Mom," Lily whispered, "I think I saw something else." "Hush, baby," Sarah said, her eyes darting toward the doctors. She was terrified. "Don't say anything else. You did good. They are working now. Let them work. We shouldn't be here. This is their world." "But they're wrong," Lily whispered. "It doesn't matter if they're wrong." Sarah's voice cracked. "They are doctors. We are the help. Do you understand?" You pointed them to the sofa. "Your job is done. Now be quiet. Eat your sandwich. Do not get us thrown out of here." Lily looked at her mother's pale, frightened face. She looked at the team of doctors, who were now on a conference call with a specialist in another state. They were all talking about MSUD. Lily felt torn in two. Her mother was right. She should be invisible. But Great-Grandma Rose's words were in her head. The truth is in the details the proud men miss. Being proud was a luxury. Lily was not proud. She was just a watcher. An hour later, the stat test results came back. A message pinged on Dr. Evans's laptop. He read it. His face, which had been confident, turned pale. "What is it?" Mr. Harrison demanded, turning from the window. "The test," Dr. Evans said, his voice flat. "The metabolic panel for maple syrup urine disease." "And it's negative," Dr. Evans said, disbelief in his voice. "Completely, totally normal. He doesn't have it." The room was plunged back into silence. The only lead they had, the only real disease they could name, was a dead end. The younger doctor threw his hands up. "Then we're back to square one. There is no known condition that combines these symptoms." "There must be," Harrison growled. "Arthur, we've tested for everything," Dr. Evans said, his voice rising in frustration. "Neurological, autoimmune, metabolic, genetic. We have nothing. The symptoms, the tapping, the smell, they are anomalies. They don't connect." "Yes, they do," Lily said. Every head in the room turned to her. Her mother, who had been hiding in the hall, gasped. Nurse Miller rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. Not again." Lily stood up. Her legs were shaking, but she held the leather journal in her hands. She held it like a shield. "What did you say?" Mr. Harrison said, walking toward her. "They do connect," Lily said, her voice clearer now. You're looking at the wrong part. You're looking at the sickness. You're not looking at what happens before the sickness." Dr. Evans looked insulted. "And what happens before, little girl?" "He gets tired," Lily said. Dr. Evans stared. "He gets tired. Of course he gets tired. He's critically ill. That is a result, not a cause." "No," Lily insisted. "Not sleepy tired. His muscles get tired. I've seen it. He tries to do something. He tries to build with his Legos, or eat with a fork, or stand up. He tries really, really hard. And his muscles, they just stop. They give out. He gets weak." She pointed at Daniel. And then, maybe a few minutes later, the tapping starts. And then the head jerk. And then the smell. And then the headache. She looked straight at Dr. Evans. "It's not the sickness that makes him tired. It's the trying that makes him sick." A new, strange silence fell over the room. Mr. Harrison looked at Dr. Evans. The doctor's face was a blank mask. He was processing this. "Uh-huh," the female doctor at the table said, her eyes widening. "Uh-huh, Dr. Evans. If the trigger is muscular exertion, if it's an exercise-induced event." Dr. Evans's eyes snapped to hers. The arrogance was gone, replaced by a frantic, academic spark. A metabolic myopathy, Dr. Evans whispered. A channelopathy. The muscles fatigue, they can't recover, and they release a toxin. A byproduct. And that is what we are smelling. And that is what is causing the focal seizure. He turned to his team. We've been hunting for the wrong thing. We've been testing his blood while he's at rest. We need to test him after an event. He looked at Mr. Harrison. Arthur, this is a breakthrough. This changes the entire field of inquiry. Mr. Harrison did not look at Dr. Evans. He was looking at Lily. He was looking at the small girl in the oversized chair, clutching a 70-year-old book. We need to trigger an event, Dr. Evans said, his mind racing. We need to induce muscle fatigue. Gently, so we can draw blood at the precise moment of failure. No, Mr. Harrison said. Dr. Evans stopped. Arthur, it's the only way to be sure. We have to. You will not trigger anything in my son, Harrison said. You will not hurt him. We will wait. And this time, he said, turning to Lily, you will tell us when it's about to begin. You will tell us when you see the trying. Lily nodded, her heart hammering. She had done it. She had changed their path. Nurse Miller stood in the corner, her arms crossed, her face a mask of pure fury. She had been wrong. The magic book and the girl had just beaten her modern science. The silence in the atrium stretched for 2 hours. It was a heavy, ugly silence. The doctors sat at the marble table. They stared at their screens. They had run out of ideas. Their grand theory about MSUD was wrong. They were back to zero. Nurse Miller busied herself, checking the monitors. Her movements were sharp, irritated. She avoided looking at Lily. Lily sat in her chair. She was a statue. She watched Daniel. She watched him breathe. She was waiting. She didn't know what for. She just knew she had to wait. Her mother, Sarah, came in and out. She brought Lily a bottle of water. She brought a warm cloth for Daniel's forehead. She moved like a mouse, desperate not to be noticed by the annoyed doctors. Lily opened her great-grandmother's journal. She needed to hear Rose's voice. Her finger found a passage she had marked. Men of medicine are impatient. They want to cut, to inject, to act. They forget that the body has its own language. It speaks in its own time. True healing begins not with a needle, but with patience. You must wait for the body to tell its secret. Lily closed her eyes. I'm waiting, Grandma Rose, she thought. I'm listening. Mr. Harrison stood by the window. He had not moved. He was staring at the gardens, but he saw nothing. He was a man made of coiled steel, ready to snap. This is pointless, Arthur, Dr. Evans finally said, breaking the silence. He's stable. The event is over. Whatever that was, it's gone. We're wasting our time. We should move him to the hospital. We need a full neurology team, not this. He gestured vaguely at Lily. You said you'd wait, Mr. Harrison said, his voice flat. He did not turn around. We waited. We saw the tapping. We saw the smell. The tests were negative. It was a dead end. It wasn't, Lily said. Her voice, though small, cut through the tension. Dr. Evans sighed, turning to her. Child, we have explained this. The test for MSUD was negative. Your burnt sugar theory was wrong. My theory wasn't burnt sugar, Lily said, standing up. She felt a new, cold bravery. My theory was the pattern. You're still not looking at the trigger. The muscle fatigue idea? Dr. Evans scoffed. It's too vague. It's not a diagnosis. Then watch, Lily said. She pointed. He's waking up. Daniel Harrison was stirring. His eyes flickered open. He looked around, his gaze foggy from the pain medication. Mr. Harrison, Lily said, her voice sharp. Come here. Watch. Harrison turned from the window. He crossed the room in 3 long strides. The doctors all stood up, sensing a shift. Daniel, Mr. Harrison said, his voice softer than Lily had ever heard it. Son, how are you feeling? Thirsty, Daniel whispered. His voice was a dry rasp. My, water. He lifted his right arm. He was trying to reach for the glass of water on the side table, just inches from his hand. His arm trembled. The muscles in his forearm stood out, tight, like wires. He was fighting. He was trying. Lily held her breath. That's it, she whispered. That's the trying. Daniel grunted, frustrated. He couldn't make his hand grip the glass. His fingers brushed it. The glass tipped, spilling ice water onto the expensive blankets. I can't, Daniel panted. He was exhausted from the tiny movement. His arm fell back to his side. Useless. It's okay, son, Mr. Harrison started to say. No, Lily shouted. It was so loud, everyone jumped. Wait, look at his other hand. They all snapped their gaze to Daniel's left hand, which lay palm up on the sofa. It was starting. The pointer finger, tapping against the thumb. 1, 2, 3. Pause. 1, 2, 3. Pause. There, Lily breathed. It's the trigger. The muscle failure. Now the sickness comes. My God, the female doctor whispered. She's right. As they watched, Daniel's head gave the small, sharp jerk to the right. Dr. Evans was galvanized. He did it. He's repeating the pattern. The smell, Lily said, leaning in. It's starting. It's faint, but it's here. Draw the blood, Mr. Harrison ordered. No, wait. Dr. Evans shouted. He was a different man now. He was a scientist on the edge of discovery. Don't draw it yet. We need to test it during the peak. We need the full-blown event. You said you wouldn't hurt him, Lily accused. I'm not. I'm just waiting for the body to tell its secret, Dr. Evans said, throwing her own words back at her. They waited. The tapping in Daniel's hand got faster. The sweet, burnt sugar smell grew stronger, filling the air around the sofa. Lily could see the faint pulse in Daniel's neck beating too fast. My head, Daniel moaned, his eyes squeezing shut. It hurts bad. Now, Dr. Evans yelled. Nurse Miller, draw the blood. Full panel. Stat. And get the portable analyzer ready. We are testing it here, not at the lab. Nurse Miller rushed forward. Her hands were shaking. She was angry, but she was also a professional. She found the vein. She drew 3 vials of dark red blood. Run it, Dr. Evans commanded his team. The female doctor took the vials to the dining table. She injected the blood into the small, humming machine. The machine that had told them, an hour ago, that everything was normal. The room was electric. The only sounds were Daniel's low moans, Nurse Miller's sharp, clinical movements as she administered pain relief, and the beeping of the analyzer. Lily stood by Mr. Harrison. She was trembling. She had done all she could. Now, the machines had to talk. It's the fever, she whispered. It's coming next. Mr. Harrison put a heavy hand on her shoulder. He wasn't comforting her. He was holding on to her. He was using her as an anchor. Ping. A small, electronic sound from the laptop at the table. Dr. Evans and his team huddled around the screen. Lily watched their faces. She saw confusion. Then she saw disbelief. No, Dr. Evans whispered, staring at the numbers. That's not possible. What is it? Harrison demanded. What's wrong? The potassium, Dr. Evans said, his voice full of awe. His serum potassium level it's 8.2. It's astronomical. What does that mean? Harrison growled. It means he should be dead, the female doctor said, looking up. A level that high. It causes immediate, fatal cardiac arrest. But his heart it's still beating. Dr. Evans was reading the other numbers. And the myoglobin, the rhabdomyolysis, his muscle tissue is literally breaking down. It's releasing all this potassium into his bloodstream. His body is poisoning him. He looked at his colleague. Muscle exertion, followed by weakness, followed by a massive potassium dump. A focal seizure. It's not a neurological disorder. It's a channelopathy. A genetic, oh my word. He looked at Mr. Harrison. The arrogance was gone, replaced by the wild, excited look of a man who has just solved the unsolvable. I know what this is, Dr. Evans said. What? It's called hyperkalemic periodic paralysis. Hyper, too much. Kale Mike, potassium. It's a genetic mutation. It's incredibly rare. The channels in his muscle cells, they don't work right. When he exerts himself, they panic. They don't process potassium. They dump it. All at once. It paralyzes the muscles, and it floods the blood. The tapping isn't a seizure, not really. It's the nerves misfiring from the potassium poisoning. The smell, it's the smell of his body trying to process a lethal dose of its own chemicals. Mr. Harrison was pale. Genetic? Yes. You, or his mother. A carrier. Can you fix it? Harrison whispered. Fix, Dr. Evans said. No, it's in his DNA. But we can manage it. We can treat it. Now that we know, we've been doing everything wrong. We've been giving him 4 fluids, probably loaded with potassium. We've been treating him for epilepsy. We were making it worse. We were killing him. He shook his head, looking at the data. But now we can save him. It's a simple fix. A special diet, low in potassium. Glucose injections during an attack to force the potassium back into the cells. It's not a death sentence. It's a life sentence. But it's life. The room was silent. The weight of the last 6 months, the fear, the anger, it all settled. Mr. Harrison finally let go of Lily's shoulder. He walked to the sofa and knelt by his son. Daniel's breathing was already easier. The pain medication was working. Harrison looked at the boy. Then he looked back. He didn't look at the $10,000 a day specialist. He didn't look at the nurse. He looked at the 12-year-old girl in the worn-out sneakers. Lily, he said. His voice was rough. Yes, sir. The journal, he said. Your great-grandmother. Rose, Lily whispered. Rose, he repeated. She would be very proud of you. Lily felt tears, hot and fast, sting her eyes. She wiped them away, embarrassed. In the corner, Nurse Miller stood stiffly, her face pale. She watched the billionaire look at the maid's daughter with a respect he had never, not once, shown her. She had been beaten, and she knew it. The tension in the room did not break. It simply changed. It was no longer the sharp ice of fear. It was the heavy, wet air after a storm has passed. Dr. Evans's team was moving fast. The female doctor was on the phone with the pharmacy at the state's largest hospital. Yes, and 4 of D10. Immediately. And oral glucose tablets. No, not a guess. It's a confirmed diagnosis of hyperkalemic periodic paralysis. The patient is a 10-year-old male. Nurse Miller stood by the 4-pole, her hands by her sides, her face pale. She was useless. Her entire 6-month treatment plan had been wrong. Worse, it had been harmful. Dr. Evans, his face flushed with the shame of his error and the thrill of discovery, was already writing new orders. We need to monitor his heart. The EKG is showing peak T waves. He's on the edge of a full cardiac event, he said, mostly to himself. Get the glucose into him. Now. It will act as a key, forcing the potassium from his blood back into his cells. It's a temporary fix, but it's the one we need. Mr. Harrison had not moved from his son's side. He watched Daniel, whose breathing was still shallow, his face tight with pain. Will he be all right? You said. He will be, Dr. Evans said. He walked over to Mr. Harrison. He looked smaller. The arrogance was gone. Sir, what we've been giving him, the standard saline drip, it's loaded with electrolytes, including potassium. We were, as she said, making it worse. Every time he had an attack, we were pouring gasoline on the fire. He glanced at Lily, who was standing by her chair, her great-grandmother's journal held tight to her chest. I was treating the chart, not the boy. I was looking for a common disease. I never, not for 1 second, considered something this rare. I dismissed the symptoms because they didn't fit my textbooks. He looked directly at Lily. His eyes were clear. You, young lady, you didn't have any textbooks. You just had your eyes. You saved his life. I have been a doctor for 30 years. I have never been more wrong. And I have never been more grateful to be proven wrong. He gave her a small, formal bow. Thank you. Lily didn't know what to say. You're welcome, sir. A few minutes later, a new 4-bag was hung. The clear, sugary fluid began to drip into Daniel's arm. The effect was not instant. But after 10 minutes, something remarkable happened. Daniel's breathing deepened. The pained, tight look on his face relaxed. His left hand, which had been curled and tense, went soft. He opened his eyes. He looked at his father. Dad, he whispered. I'm here, son. Mr. Harrison's voice was thick. The headache. It's fading. It's going away. It was the first time in 6 months that the pain had stopped without heavy, mind-numbing medication. Mr. Harrison put his head down on the edge of the sofa, his large shoulders shaking. He was weeping in silence. Lily's mother, Sarah, who was still by the door, put a hand over her own heart. She saw the miracle. She saw the billionaire crying. And she saw her own daughter, standing in the middle of it all, the one who had made it happen. Mr. Harrison composed himself. He stood up. He was once again the man in charge. But something was different. His eyes were not cold. They were clear. He looked past the doctors. He looked straight at Nurse Miller. She flinched. She knew what was coming. Nurse, he said. His voice was quiet. Mr. Harrison, you have been in my employ for 6 months, he said, his voice level. You have been in this room every day. You have watched my son suffer. I followed Dr. Evans's orders. I monitored his vitals. You did, Mr. Harrison interrupted. You did your job, as it was written on a chart. But today, you did something else. You heard this child, he pointed to Lily, offer the truth. You heard her offer a new observation. A vital observation. And what did you do? Nurse Miller was silent. Her face was gray. You scoffed, Mr. Harrison said. You called her book a fairy tale. You told her to let the grown-ups handle it. Your pride, your arrogance, almost cost my son his life. You were more concerned with being right than with him. You are dismissed. Sir, you can't. A car will be ready for you in 10 minutes, he said, turning his back on her. You will leave this house. You will not be given a reference. Now go. Nurse Miller stared at his back. Her lip trembled. She looked at Dr. Evans, who refused to meet her gaze. She looked at Lily. Her eyes were full of a cold, black hatred. Then, she turned, and with as much dignity as she could find, she walked out of the room. She was gone. Mr. Harrison let out a long breath. He turned to Sarah. Sarah, he said. Yes, sir, she whispered, terrified. Your duties as a maid are over. You are, from this moment, my daughter's and my son's guest. Mrs. Davies will move you to the East Wing. You will have the suite overlooking the ocean. You will eat your meals with us. You are family now. Sir, I couldn't, Sarah stammered. I'm the help. You are the mother of the girl who saved my son, Harrison said, as if that explained everything. That is all that matters. Now, please, take your daughter. Get some rest. Both of you. He looked at Lily. I want you here tomorrow, Lily. Not as a watcher. As a friend. Daniel. He's going to need a friend. 3 days passed. The change in the Harrison mansion was total. The house, once cold and silent as a hospital, was now different. There was still a medical presence, but Dr. Evans and his team were consultants, not guards. They were cheerful. They were excited. They were witnessing a recovery they had thought impossible. Daniel was sitting up in his own bed, in his own room. The 4-pole was gone. The monitors were gone. His color was back. Lily sat on the floor of his bedroom. It was a room bigger than her entire apartment. They were playing a game of Go Fish. Got any sevens? Daniel asked. He was smiling. Lily had never seen him smile. Go fish, Lily said, smiling back. You're better at this than my last nurse, Daniel said. She always let me win. That's because she wasn't really playing, Lily said. She was just managing you. But you're not, he said. You're just here. He put his cards down. You know, I heard you. That day. In the big room. Lily looked up. You were awake? Sort of. In and out. I heard the doctors. I heard my dad. And I heard you. They all sounded loud. Angry. Scared. But your voice. He thought for a moment. Your voice was quiet. You sounded like you were just telling the truth. He looked at her. Thank you. You saw me. When they were all looking at the machines, you saw me. Lily's heart felt full. My great-grandma taught me, she said. The one in the book? Lily nodded. She said the truth is almost always quiet. Down the hall, in a luxurious guest suite, Sarah was trying to make her own bed. A housekeeper, a woman she had worked with for a year, rushed in. Mrs. Martinez, please, the housekeeper said, horrified. You must not do that. That is my job. Sarah dropped the sheet. I'm sorry, Maria. I'm not used to this. We are all very happy for you, Sarah, Maria said, her voice sincere. And for your daughter. She is an angel. An angel. What she did, Mr. Harrison has told everyone. Sarah sat on the soft chair. She felt like she was in a dream. She was proud, but she was also terrified. This was not her world. These were not her people. She didn't know how to be a guest. She only knew how to be invisible. That evening, Mr. Harrison asked Sarah and Lily to join him in his study. The study was a room of dark wood, leather, and thousands of books. Mr. Harrison sat behind a desk as big as a car. Please, he said, gesturing to the 2 leather chairs. Lily and Sarah sat. My lawyers have handled Nurse Miller's departure, he said. And Dr. Evans has submitted a very, very large bill, which I have paid, along with a substantial donation to his research hospital. He has also, I should add, co-authored a paper on Daniel's case. Your name, Lily, is in the acknowledgments. Lily's eyes went wide. But that is not why I asked you here, Mr. Harrison said. He opened a desk drawer and took out a checkbook. Sarah, he said, you have lost your job. Because of me. Because of this. I want to compensate you. For your time. for your courage. And 4, well, for everything. He wrote a check and slid it across the desk. Sarah looked at it. Lily looked too. There were so many zeros, Lily's head swam. It was more money than her mother would make in 10 lifetimes. Sarah put her hands in her lap. She pushed the check back. No, sir, she said. Her voice was shaking, but it was firm. Mr. Harrison raised an eyebrow. No, my daughter, Sarah said, finding her words. She didn't do this for money. She did it because it was the right thing to do. Because her great-grandmother taught her to see. We can't take this. Lily looked at her mother. She had never seen this strength in her. Mr. Harrison stared at Sarah for a long, silent moment. A slow smile spread across his face. I was hoping you would say that, he said. He tore the check in half. I am not an easy man, Sarah. But I understand pride. And I understand honor. He folded his hands. So, we will not talk about money. We will talk about history. He looked at Lily. I had my team do some research. About your great-grandmother. Rose. Lily leaned forward. You did? Yes. She was a field nurse in the 36th Evacuation Hospital. In France. 1944, he opened a file. She was, by all accounts, a legend. Just as you said. She was known for noticing things. She diagnosed gas gangrene in a soldier everyone thought was just drunk. She saved an entire ward by identifying a contaminated water source. She was remarkable. I know, Lily whispered. She was. But, Mr. Harrison said, her records are incomplete. She was recommended for the Silver Star, for gallantry in action, a very high honor for a nurse. I never knew that, Sarah said. The recommendation was lost, Mr. Harrison said. The war ended. Paperwork was shuffled. The hero was forgotten, as they so often are. He closed the file. I have connections. In Washington. I am making it my personal project to see that this oversight is corrected. The U.S. Army is going to review her case for a posthumous award. Lily's jaw dropped. And, Mr. Harrison said, I have found something. We found a record of a man she saved. A paratrooper. She sat with him for 72 hours, refusing to let the surgeons amputate his leg. That man, he's 98 years old. He lives in Virginia. And he remembers her name. He's alive. Lily gasped. He is. And he wants to meet the family of the woman who saved his life. Mr. Harrison smiled. I've arranged for my plane to take you both to Virginia next weekend. If you'll accept. Sarah was crying, silent tears running down her face. Lily just nodded, speechless. She was not a maid's daughter. She was not a ghost. She was a hero's great-granddaughter. And, perhaps, she was a little bit of a hero herself. The next weekend, Lily and her mother stepped onto a private jet. It was all cream-colored leather and polished wood. Sarah, Lily's mother, sat rigidly in her seat, clutching her purse. She had never been on a plane before. It's okay, Mom, Lily said. Mija, Sarah whispered. I don't belong here. You do, Lily said, her voice firm. She wasn't focused on the luxury. She held her backpack on her lap. Inside was the journal. She was going to meet someone who had known Rose. It was the only thing that mattered. They flew for 2 hours. A black car met them on the tarmac in Virginia and drove them to a small, neat suburban house. Before they could knock, the door opened. A woman in her 60s smiled. You must be Sarah and Lily. Please, come in. Dad is waiting. In the living room, sitting in a wheelchair by the window, was an old man. He was thin, his skin like paper, but his eyes were bright. Mr. Pierce? Sarah asked softly. Please, call me John. He smiled. The family of Rose. I never thought I'd live to see this day. Please sit. Lily and Sarah sat on a floral sofa. It's an honor to meet you, sir, Lily said. No, child, John said. The honor is all mine. You look like her a little. Around the eyes. She had sharp eyes. Kind, but sharp. She didn't miss anything. Lily felt a shiver go up her spine. Mr. Harrison. He told us you knew her, Lily said. In the war. Knew her? John let out a small, dry laugh. Young lady? I owe her. I owe her every day I've had since 1944. He tapped his left leg. Shrapnel, he said, his eyes going distant. The wound was a mess. The surgeon, a major, he said it was gas gangrene. He said, we take the leg, or you're dead in 48 hours. They had the tools laid out. Lily leaned forward. Her mother put a hand to her mouth. I was 19. I was terrified. And then she came in. Your great-grandmother. She put her hand on the surgeon's arm. She said, "Stop, Major." He chuckled. He was furious. But Rose, she wasn't afraid. She said, "He doesn't have gangrene." The doctor said, "Look at it. It's dying." And she said, "No, smell it." The doctor looked at her like she was crazy. But she said, "Gangrene smells like rotten meat. This smells like hot pennies. It's not infection. The shrapnel is still in there, cooking him from the inside. That's the smell." Lily's hands flew to her own mouth. "It smells like burnt sugar." John's eyes met hers. The doctor, he didn't believe her. He wanted to cut, but she shamed him into checking the x-ray first. She was right. My leg was full of metal. She saved me. She did more than that, John said, his voice thick. The surgeon walked away. He was too proud. But Rose, she stayed. She spent 2 days, with just a pan of saline and tweezers, picking out those metal bits. She never slept. She saved my leg. She saved my life. He looked at Lily. "I heard what you did. For that rich man's boy. You have her blood, child. You have her eyes." Lily's whole body was trembling. She wrote it all down. She handed the small, leather journal to him. The old man's hands shook as he took it. He held it to his face. "I never saw her sit," he said, tears in his eyes. "She was always working, always watching." He handed the journal back. "That is a precious thing. You keep that. You be it." Then he wheeled himself to a small desk, pulled out a dark blue box, and wheeled back. "The army, they gave me this for that wound," he said. He opened the box. Inside, on faded silk, was a purple heart medal. "Oh no, sir," Sarah gasped. "We couldn't. I am 98 years old," John said, his voice suddenly strong. "I have no children. I've had this medal for almost 80 years. And I have known, every single day, that it belongs to her. The army, they forget. Paperwork gets lost. But the men who were there, we don't forget. A hero is a hero." He pressed the box into Lily's hands. "You take this," he said. "It belongs to her. You remember the blood that's in you. It's the blood of a woman who wasn't afraid to tell the proud men they were wrong." Lily closed her hands around the box. It was heavy. It was real. 2 weeks later, the Harrison mansion was quiet. But it was the quiet of a home, not a hospital. In the back garden, Daniel Harrison was throwing a baseball. His arm was weak, but he was throwing it. "Okay, a little harder this time," he called out. Lily, standing 10 feet away in a brand new glove, caught the ball. "You're getting better," she said. "My new diet," he said, puffing. "It's weird. No bananas. But I'm not sick. I haven't had a bad spell in 16 days. "That's because they're not bad spells," Lily said. "It's just hyperkalemic periodic paralysis. It's just a name." "You're a weirdo, Lily," he said, smiling. "But I'm glad you're here." "Me too," she said, throwing the ball back. Nearby, her mother, Sarah, sat at a patio table with a laptop. She was no longer a maid. Mr. Harrison was training her to be the new estate manager. Dr. Evans had called. The medical paper on Daniel's case, with Lily's name in the acknowledgments, was published. The army had also called. They were officially reviewing Rose's service record for a posthumous award. Lily reached into her pocket. She touched the cool metal of the Purple Heart. Daniel missed the catch. The ball rolled to her feet. "Sorry," he called. Lily picked it up. She looked at the giant glass house. She looked at her mother, her brow furrowed in concentration. She looked at Daniel, a boy who was alive because she had listened. A child's eyes saw the truth hidden in a room full of experts. Lily realized her great-grandmother's journal wasn't just a book of memories. It was a book of instructions. She wasn't a ghost. She wasn't invisible. She wasn't just a maid's daughter. She was a watcher. She was a noticer. And she was just getting started. "It's okay," Lily called back, raising her glove. "Try again." And that brings our story to a pause for now. Whenever I share one of these tales, my hope is that it offers you a little escape from the everyday, a moment to simply drift away. I'd love to hear what you were up to while listening, maybe unwinding after a long day, cruising on a late-night drive, or just relaxing at home. Leave a comment. I truly read every single one. If you want to make sure we meet again, hitting like and subscribing really helps. We're always looking to make our stories better, so any feedback you share in the comments is more than welcome. Thank you for sharing this time with me.